So I wanted to talk about, well, on my way home here, I have nothing else better to do than talk to myself. So, I want to talk about when we went and looked at all the rock trucks, because we got our rock truck yesterday, and I wanted to talk about our little extravaganza to go find one. It was 2 Saturdays ago we left. I left my house at 5 o'clock in the morning, and we drove all the way up to Virginia. The first truck we went and looked at was a Volvo 825C. It was a 1998 model. It had online it showed 14,000 hours, but you know, we had a budget we were trying to stay around, about 80 grand or so, and this one was well under budget. And I figured, what the hell, we could look at that one. It was near some cat trucks we were going to go look at, and it had a lot more hours on it than a truck that we really wanted, but it had real wide flotation tires on it. They were almost like 3.5, 4 foot wide, big swamp tires. You know, that'd be good for all the wet work that we work in. And let me change lanes here. So we went up there and looked at that one, got in it, started up, got up there about 8 o'clock or so, and it was a lot rougher than it looked. All the tires were about slick on it. They only had about 1 inch of tread, and that's really not a whole lot left on big rock truck tires. So drove it around a little bit. You know, it ended up having almost 16,000 hours on it, so that was about 2,000 more hours than it showed. And why are we stopping? Anyways, give me time to talk. It was pretty rough. It would not hold air at all. Well, it would, but it took a real long time for the air to build up on it, and it shifted hard. It was pretty well ragged out. So right beside it, I actually saw it online. It was a Volvo A30D, so it's a 30-ton dump truck. It had been repainted, and it looked decent. And so that would be truck number 2. What I'll do is I took pictures of all of these, and I'll post them before, so that way you can see what truck I'm talking about. Anyway, the A30D it was repainted. It had real good tires on it. Everything functioned good on it. Transmission shifted great. It had a flat tire on it, and one of the rear axle seals was leaking on it a little bit, so that kind of was a little bit downer on it, but it was still a nice truck. Anyways, we wanted to go to Milam's Equipment. I'm sure some people are familiar with them, and they had 2 Cat 725s. So we went over there and we drove both of those. They were all painted up all nice, but they were just ragged the hell out. They all had like 10,000 hours on them. And that Volvo truck, it had 10,700 hours on it. But these cat trucks, they both had around 10 to 11,000 hours on them. They were all repainted, you know, the 5-gallon overhaul on them. But they just seemed raggedy. They wouldn't shift. You had to like hold them to the floor to get them to move, and all the mirrors were broke off. You go to raise the bed, and fluid was pouring out of a fitting. It was just I was like, why wouldn't you fix this stuff up? And the guy's like, we don't fix this up until we sell it. I was like, that doesn't look good for somebody to come spend 80 or 90 grand on a rock truck, and there's fluid pouring all out, all the damn mirrors are busted off, glass everywhere. I'm like, well, what in the world? So that didn't give me a good feeling on the cat trucks. I mean, they were nice and everything, but I wasn't very impressed with them. So then we went up towards Charlotte to look at, it was a John Deere 250D. The guy had like 5 or 6 trucks there. We looked at like 9 total. He had a John Deere 300D, a John Deere 250D. He had another one of those older Volvo A25Cs. He had a Cat 730 and a Volvo A30D, just like the second truck that we looked at. I had heard some stories on the John Deeres that they were notorious for electrical issues, and the motors didn't hold up in them, and they were just overall they were underpowered truck, just didn't have the ass to really go. So I drove the 250 around. I don't remember if it had a tailgate on it or not. It had like 7,000 hours on it. It was priced right. It was they had repainted it, and it was overall a decent truck. Probably would have picked that one if I didn't hear all the stories about it. It's just that Volvo, it shifted like a Cadillac. But I got on that other old A25C that they had. It had right at like almost 17,000 hours on it, and it wouldn't hardly hold air either. You hit the brakes like once or twice and the alarm would come on. I'm like, I'm not going to put up with this. And some air lines were dry rotted on it. It's just, an older truck. It was well under the budget, but I felt like it was going to have a whole lot of problems with it and everything. I think there's a wreck up here. And didn't look at the Cat 730 truck. He wanted like 120 grand for it or something like that. And he wanted 120 grand for that other Volvo 30 ton. But I was like, well, since I was interested in that second truck, I'm going to drive this one around a lot and just kind of compare it to that other one. And there's just no comparison on how how the Volvo trucks shifted. They were just smooth and just they ride good and just seemed like a much better overall truck. So we ended up picking the second truck, actually the second one we looked at. And the guy he fixed the tire that was leaking on it. He charged the AC up on it. He pulled the whole tire off and repacked that seal that was leaking. And what else did he do? He just pretty much went over everything. And it come off the price like 10 grand. So that was a pretty good little amount. And that's pretty much why we got that Volvo truck. I just got it delivered yesterday, and I got a little quick video of it delivering, and I'll post that as soon as I finish this up. So thanks for watching. Here comes our new toy. There she is.